Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Inter Extra podcast. I am here, as always, with my co host, Simi. And today we have an extra special guest, Nima Tavalley. Nima, if you want to say hello to the folks.
Hi, everybody. It's good to be with you guys.
And then Simi, of course, he's here and he's going to let you know where you can find us and how you can follow us and leave your thoughts with us.
Yeah, welcome everyone again. As per usual, if you don't already follow us on Twitter, inter_extra, make sure you lock in. We're closing in on 67k followers. And if you're not subscribed yet, I know a lot of people are listening that aren't subscribed yet on YouTube, make sure you subscribe. And if you're listening on the different streaming platforms, make sure you go give us a 5-star rating, share it with your friends, with your fellow Interisti. And yeah, I say we get straight into it.
Yeah. And of course, as always, every week we're doing, at least for the summer right now, we're doing our transfer news. And then we're getting a little bit of extra news this week since we have some actual interaction coming up soon. So, yeah, Simi, if you want to start pulling some things up for us.
Yeah, so first and foremost, guys, if you guys remember last week, Nima, I don't know if you watched last week's episode, but it was very much uh, an interesting Wednesday last week because the Ademola Lookman news came out of nowhere, and nothing's changed since then. Really, we have a total agreement in personal terms. Apparently, a contract has been agreed to for like 4 to 5 million a year, apparently net, that he would earn, and reportedly till 2030. But yeah, this is always the thing when clubs say or when journalists say that a player has an agreement with the club, but the clubs themselves don't have an agreement. Like, I always find it funny because is it really that like confirmed if the clubs themselves don't really have anything like any agreement yet? But yeah, first I want to ask first and foremost, how true do you think it is that everything's been agreed between the player side, and also how likely do you think it's gonna get done?
It's definitely. I know for a fact that Lookman and Inter have agreed terms via his agent. That's kind of how these things work. I mean,
Yeah,
we have to. It depends on the situation. We have to remember what Lookman's situation was. There's a very big. There was a very big public bust up between him and Gasperini. Lookman handled it fantastically, very professionally, unlike Gasperini, who handled it like a petulant child, like the Panino throwing petulant child that he is. And Lookman handled it fantastically. His statement was spot on. It hit the right tone. It was polite. It was professional, and it was clear that he wanted to leave Atalanta, and now's the time to leave Atalanta. Um, I think what has happened is that Inter. He's not getting that move to the Premier League. He's not getting that PSG move. And Inter are interested because Inter want to change to a 3-4-2-1. That's not something that is new. That's something that was decided a long time ago. We saw it even with Inzaghi. He played a 3-4-2-1 towards the end of his tenure, and that's why Inter continue with Sucic and Luis Enrique. So these are all things that have been pre-decided a long time ago. Formation changes and development to keep the team fresh. And Ademola Lookman, Inter felt that given what it costs, his wages, where this is an investment they're willing to make. With Francesco Esposito staying, they say publicly anyway that they want to keep Thuram and Lautaro, and with Correa and Arnautovic leaving, these are the players. This is the attacking formation. It's the 3-4-2-1, and Lookman works perfectly in that. So obviously, with him wanting to leave, they've been in talk. They've been in talks with his agent. He's expressed that his client is eager to join, and those negotiations between Inter and the player haven't been too complicated. They have an agreement overall. I don't think they have a full detailed agreement, but they have an agreement roughly where they want to be in terms of um, wages, and but then you have to cross the T's and dot the I's. Then you have to agree terms with Atalanta. Atalanta had kind of given a verbal promise to Lookman, we'll sell you in the summer. They don't want to sell other players. Having sold Ruggeri, which I think was a mistake. I really like Ruggeri. I think they should not have sold him. But they did. And so now it's either Ederson or or Lookman. It looks like it's going to be Lookman. That'll put them in a really good position in terms of finances, that they don't need to sell anyone else, and that we know that Atalanta is a very expensive store, and Atalanta is as I say in Italy, and Atalanta is a club that is not easy to negotiate with. So this is where we are. So I do think that, I know for a fact that yes, Inter and Lookman have full agreement in principle. But the problem is, until you actually have an agreement with the club that owns the rights to the player, you have nothing. We've seen this before with Bremer. I think is a perfect example of that. You didn't have an agreement with Cairo. You had an agreement in principle with the player, but you didn't have an agreement with Cairo, and then Juventus stepped in, and the whole thing exploded in your face spectacularly. So
spent the money that we didn't.
exactly. So that's kind of where we are. So we'll see what happens. I mean, this can't keep lingering and dragging on forever, and they need to find an agreement. If it's 45 plus 5, or if they want 50, if they want to go 40 plus, I mean, they need to sort this out, because this can't go dragging on forever, because Lookman, people are watching, and at some point Lookman wants out of there, and at some point maybe some Premier League club or PSG wakes up, then Inter are screwed. It's that simple.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that speaking of other clubs, Pedula said Napoli has inquired about Lookman as well. Um that would be another club that actually has the money that can come in
Yeah,
and pay
but the
immediately.
difference is that Lookman prefers Inter to Napoli,
Mm.
and I think Lookman views. I think he would work at Conte. It's not a natural fit, but I think he would kind of work. I think Dan Ndoye is a much more natural fit for Conte and Napoli than Lookman is, and I think that's why Napoli are pushing harder for Dan Ndoye.
Do you think
Yeah,
Lookman is that option to Ndoye?
yeah.
Like they're
I
just
don't see them buying both of them. I really don't see them buying both. I think it's either Ndoye or Lookman, and I think both Conte and Ndoye, and I think everyone sees that Ndoye is much more would work better in an Antonio Conte system, in the Conte's hybrid 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1, however you want to play with the numbers. But so I think that makes more sense for everybody. But and I think Lookman prefers a move to Inter as well. That's at least what I've understood from talking to people.
Yeah. I mean, let me just quickly. I have the tweet put up from a few days ago, just to kind of summarize what happened, because I think everyone knows we have a 40 million offer that has been submitted by Inter, and even Ozilio confirmed it. Let me see if I can find it here. No, it's not here. But basically, Ozilio confirmed it in one of the interviews he did in one of the recent days, and I think personally, what is going to get the deal over the line is Lookman's camp and Lookman himself pushing for Inter. I think a lot of journalists have confirmed this over the past couple of days. He is pushing for this move, right? Like he wants to go to Inter, nowhere else. He doesn't want to go to Atletico. He doesn't want to go to Napoli. He doesn't want to go Premier League. This is what he wants, and according to Nicolo Schira, right? There is an offer ready, quote unquote, to be submitted to Atalanta worth 45 million. My feeling is that they won't take 45 plus 5. I think it will need to be something around 47. However, we'll have to wait and see. There was also talks of a possible loan and then obligation to buy next season. I don't know if Atalanta would accept that personally. I think they want the money now. The thing is Oaktree going to pay it now? That's the thing.
Well, then, if they don't pay it, then Inter don't get the player. It's that
Exactly.
simple. It's not harder than that. I don't see an obligation loan like that's just not. I'd be very surprised if they were able to pull that over the line. I think the structure of the deal might be that they pay some of it now. Maybe if they pay 15-20 million now, and then it's on for the loan fee, and then the obligation for 20 million. That's fine. That might be different, but I think they would like a big chunk of that money right now. At least that's how Atalanta work anyway.
Yeah.
And you have to remember
Yeah, I
they're
don't
a
see
very
them.
well-run club. They don't need to sell. Like they have no cash liquidity issues. This is a very, very well-run club. They're in the Champions League. They don't have a high wage bill. Like they're in a good place. And they just sold Retegui for a ridiculous amount of money as well, and Ruggeri. Like they don't need to sell. So they have leverage. The difference is, of course, that they have a player who wants out at all costs. And right now, his heart is set on Inter. I'm not so certain that that will remain that way if Inter drag this out. That I can tell you. I think if a top Premier League club or PSG comes in, then bye bye Inter.
Yeah,
It's that simple.
yeah, yeah. He
Yeah,
has nothing to like to give to Inter. You know,
Oh,
he's just furthering his own career, and he thinks that
of
Inter's
course
the
he
best
is.
place right now.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
and
Of the options available now, and for me, I actually think it shows tactical maturity and intelligence on his part, not wanting to go to Atletico Madrid, not wanting to go to Conte at Napoli, but preferring how Inter play. I think that given how Inter look, I think Inter suit him the most right now. But I mean, if a Liverpool comes calling, or if I don't know, PSG comes calling, or something like that, that's a whole new ballgame.
yeah,
yep.
I agree. I think we need to. I think Inter need to do something over the next 1-2 weeks because time is
No,
is
no,
ticking.
1 week. Simi,
1 week
we're talking
maximum.
5 days.
You giving it
This
1 week?
cannot drag on.
Interesting.
4 5 days. This can't drag on for another. Like it's just not.
It needs to
This
be done
can't.
before.
Yeah,
Before the
this.
next podcast recording.
Well, no,
Yeah,
but this can't. They need to have a breakthrough because otherwise, this is just going to be like this cannot drag on. This can't be a telenovela. This just cannot be that. And neither Atalanta have the patience, neither does Lookman and his agents have the patience.
Yeah,
So something has to give. I expect this to be within 5 to 6 days maximum.
yeah.
All the things
we
the whole
shouldn't
thing will fall apart.
we shouldn't have the patience either, though.
No.
We should be we should be getting this done now. I mean, really, the loan with obligation is a favor that Atalanta is not going to give us. Like, go pay
No.
now
No.
what they want because 50 million or even 45 plus 5 is already a favor that Atalanta is doing to all teams. Like,
Yeah.
Lookman is worth more than that as a player. It I know
I think
that
it's
you
also
gave
got
him
to
a
do with the fact.
promise.
Yeah, but it's also got to do with the situation with Lookman Sean. You have to think about it. This is a player who wants out.
That's why the price is lower.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah,
that
yeah,
lowers the price, but it's the formula that decides,
yeah.
the structure. But we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. As I just showed it on the screen, guys. Arzilio said that our goal is to get Kivu his players as soon as possible, right? To me, that sounds like he wants him pretty much at the start, not maybe not on the first day, but at the start of preseason. Obviously, we also have the news that Ademola Lookman is apparently injured, right? Injured.
Yeah,
um, we don't know if the calf pain during training a couple of days ago is real, but yeah, like this is which sounds kind of similar to the Cope Miners saga last season, if you guys remember. But if we believe Auxilio, then they're gonna push for this, like you said, Nima, in the next few days. They should, they really should. And then, yeah, also we had the rumors, I just want to throw it in there quickly, that Atalanta asked for Pio Esposito as a swap deal. This is an older tweet, but they asked to literally swap Pio Esposito with Ademola Lookman and no fees whatsoever, which Inter declined, which is an interesting move. But then again, they did.
today, today, Pio Esposito's agent, I think, said that as much that
Correct, yeah.
Atalanta wanted Pio Esposito, and Inter have turned down offers of 50 million euros for him, and are not interested. And I think that is the wise decision.
Yep.
I think if given that you're going to go to 3-4-2-1, you need, Pio Esposito, given the characteristics he's got, he's the replacement for Arnautovic. He's that kind of a prima punta. That means that interview him as someone who's going to be rotated a lot, meaning the three attacking players are Thuram, Boni, Lautaro, Pio Esposito, and Lookman.
Yep.
That's that they're going to rotate around these guys, especially after last season when you played a gajillion games and you were basically running on fumes towards the end. They don't want to do that. It's clear they don't want to do that. They want to rotate. And Boni, Boni, Lookman, Thuram, Lautaro, Pio Esposito gives you different things, gives you different tactical solutions and options. So it's I like that. I mean, for me, I watch. Everybody who follows the Italian football podcast knows I watch Serie B religiously. And last season, Francesco Pio Esposito was the player of the Serie B. He was the most exciting, the most interesting, the biggest talking point. And what was the most interesting thing is his development from the start of the season throughout. Not just physically, he grew by, I think, 10 kilos throughout the
Yeah.
season physically, but the fact that with growing and putting muscle mass on, he was also able to he didn't become slower, he didn't become heavier, he became just stronger, faster, more assertive, and more concrete, and just became an absolute monster towards the end. And was just, my opinion, he's the best player in the Serie B last season. If you look at consistency and also the heights he reached, which to me was the most interesting thing about him last season. So I think Inter are doing the right thing, that they're going to ease him in, and they're going to rotate him, and I think that's the right decision.
Yeah, and giving him pieces around him in those five, filling in those front two,
Yeah,
front three spots that'll really help him the whole season. I agree.
yeah. Agreed, and the fact that they want to use him as a prima punta, they want to teach him how to play with his back against the goal. They want him to be the target man. He is very strong in the air. He's also a killer.
Yeah.
He really is the most exciting Inter youth young player I've seen in a very long time. He's the only one I've wanted Inter to keep for almost a decade. The rest of them I could not care about. But this kid is special. This kid is really special. He really is.
Yeah, so since we're talking about the formation, kind of, right? Ausilio was quoted saying, Kivu's tactics and formation, now he can prepare properly, he didn't have time for the Club World Cup. I smile to myself when I read concern our strongest players have stayed, and we've already brought in 5 from the market, and Amelia says we should aim for top 4, got it. But what I want to focus more on is the formation itself, right? Because 3-4-2-1 basically allows us what you guys said, that like flexibility. I personally think it's going to be Thuram at the very top, and Pio Esposito being his backup, and then we rotate between Lookman, Boni, and Lautaro as the two guys behind him. Now, I don't know if you guys see it differently. That's what I would personally do, but with 5 options, you have, the freedom to do whatever you want, right?
Yeah, I think the starters is always going to be Lautaro and Thuram, and then if you bring in Lookman, then he's going to be a starter. Boni, Esposito are going to be they're going to start as rotation players.
Yeah.
I think that's fairly obvious. But I think there's also a factor that you have a Luis Enrique who can play behind in one of the two as well. That's going to be an interesting situation with him because he has been a concern, I think, so far.
Yeah.
And what is his position if Dumfries leaves? Do they push him as a right wing back, which doesn't seem to be a natural fit for him? Do they need to buy a replacement? What do they do? But I think it's obvious that one of the things that Auxilio's comments made me it wasn't good to hear is the fact that Inter understand that given that they have decided to go with Christian Kivu, he's a very inexperienced coach, he needs time to prepare, which means he needs his most important players as quickly and as early as possible so he can work with them and impose his ideas. Because time is a commodity in football, and when you have a coach with 13 Serie A matches as on his CV, you don't have that much time. He doesn't have that much time, and his assistants are also have barely any experience at coaching. Colaro, Palombo,
Facts.
so they're gonna need time. And I wonder, these other people, more experienced people, like if Riccardo Ferri's staying, all these other people, their roles in order to get everyone moving in the same direction. I think Lautaro is going to be very important here as well in order to get everyone moving in the same direction because they have a coach who's not as experienced, and they need to be focused and they need to help him adjust because it's not going to be easy.
Yeah, and I remember Kivu had an interview earlier this summer, and he was talking about, or it was middle of the season when he was finally the Parma coach, and he was talking about the issues that Inter was having defensively, and he said he had ideas on how to fix that. Because of course there is just the formation change that he's going to have, but tactically, I've been wondering what he could do when it comes to actually imposing that formation in a way that is solid defensively. Atalanta runs that formation, but they just outscore everybody instead of actually being solid
Yeah,
defensively, except for this past season. They did well this past season and conceded less than Inter, I believe.
yeah, but
Um,
Atalanta play man marking. They play like, I mean, it's a very high intensity, high pressing man marking. That's why Inter and Inzaghi always mop the floor with Gasperini. Gasperini refused to change. That's why Inzaghi mopped the floor with Milan under Pioli. He refused to change. He played man marking with a high defensive line. For Inzaghi, it was like shooting fish in a barrel, mentally impaired fish in a barrel. Even Inter, that looked so bad last season, were able to just brush Atalanta aside, um, because he'd read him and they refused to change. Right here, I think the key here is where the defensive line. How high up will it be? Given the defenders he's got De Vrij and Acerbi. He's got Bisek, Pavard. I mean, I'm just going off what the roster looks like. Okay, Bisek has pace. Pavard, so and so. Acerbi and De Vrij, absolutely none. Bastoni, okay. It's the balance. And then you look at the midfield. Okay, it's going to be a double pivot. Sucic can run more than most human beings run in their entire lives in 90 minutes. Then you have Calhanoglu and Barella. That's going to be key. The double pivot is going to be key for how the rest of the balance, the defensive balance of this Inter is. And I think whether it's, it looks like Fratesi, Calhanoglu, Barella, Sucic. Well, that's a very dynamic midfield. There's no doubt about that. That's a midfield that has kilometers in it, just off the face of it. It seems that Mkhitaryan is going to be much more kind of phased out, which, I think at his age and where he is, I think that's a smart thing to do, to give him one last, season and then kind of phase him out. But it's clear that the midfield is going to be much more dynamic, and it's going to be a double pivot, and they're not going to have a regista as such, but they're going to, some players always obviously going to dictate more than others, but there's going to be a midfield that runs a lot. One problem that presents is Hakan Calhanoglu last season didn't run a lot at all because he just looked finished and he looked very tired and he looked very injured, or he was very injured. How do they handle that? Was that just a very strange season? Was that Calhanoglu peaking and declining? We don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But I think overall the tactical change is, where does the defensive balance, where's the defensive line with the aging central defenders, and how do you balance that with the double pivot midfield? I think that's the key here more than anything else.
Yeah.
do you think that Kivu brings anything from Parma, like from his last 12 games in Parma
Well,
to Inter?
I mean, I mean, he has to. I mean, he doesn't have any experience other than those
Yeah.
13 matches in the Serie A, so he's going to have to bring whatever he's got with it. But I think more than anything else, what he brings is, he's not going to win anyone over with his coaching skills, because he doesn't have any experience. But what he can win them over with, is he's a very good communicator. He wrote history at Inter. He was at Inter not too long ago at Primavera as well. He knows how to work with younger players. He's had a very big career, and he's always been in terms of getting players on board. My issues, or my question marks, are tactical, completely in nature. Is he ready to take over Inter? An Inter that claims that they're still going for all titles and whatnot. That it's a risk. I would have been much more calmer if the name of the coach was Max Allegri. I could have guaranteed
Yeah.
you that Inter would have won the Scudetto then. Now I can't guarantee you that. I really can't,
Yeah.
because this is a very tactical league. Tactical experience matters. Kivu has none. Allegri has loads. Conte has loads. Gasperini has loads, even though Gasperini hasn't won anything. He's at Roma, but you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
these things matter. It's a risk. We'll see if it pays off.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the the tactically, especially you were talking about the high line, we do have a name, of course, Simi, if you want to bring up
Yeah.
that name. We don't have much news on him this week, I don't think, but um, we did see Giovanni Leoni's agent at Inter HQ, uh, which I guess is positive signs for even reaching the Lookman part of the deal of
Mm.
terms agreed. So we'll see what that brings in the next couple days. But I don't know. You think that's anything, Simi or Nima?
Nima, I'll let you go first.
Look, I think Inter want Leoni. I think it's clear they want Leoni. I think Zanetti confirmed it a couple of weeks ago, even. It's clear they want him. They like him. And it's good. But is he ready to go to and start for Inter or to be rotated into Inter? Rotated, maybe, yes. But then who do you keep out of Acerbi and De Vrij? That's a puzzle. I think most reports have been saying in order for Inter to sign Leoni, they have to get rid of 5 players first, which to me is forget about Leoni. Like, if Inter have 5 players they need to get rid of before they can think of bringing in Leoni, they're not going to get Leoni. But I like the player. I like the profile. I think it's important that Inter start thinking about the future of that defense. I'm not sure the future of that defense is Jan Bisek. I have my doubts about him. I have my doubts about him from a defensive and tactical point of view. I think when it comes to mentality and speed, aerial ability is great, but he does have these brain farts, and they occur a little bit too often, and they seem to occur, the same thing seems to occur more than once, which suggests to me that he's not improving on his mistakes. And I think that's why, even though it's died down a little bit, Inter have been open to selling him. But we'll see. We'll see. I think there's a lot of question marks when it comes to, in particular, Inter's defense. The attack looks fairly clear. The midfield looks fairly clear. The wide areas look fairly clear. It's the goalkeeper and defense that are the big question marks right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree with Leoni. I feel like it might almost be like a late August kind of deal when we finally did get rid of some of those players that we need to offload. But I hope it's not. I hope it obviously gets done sooner. However, I feel like the focus right now, especially with what Arcelio said in the quotes as well, he did mention Ademola Lookman first and foremost, and then he kind of brushed off the Leoni news. And it was Marotta, I think, as well, who said a similar thing, like, yes, we like the player, but there's nothing concrete. Which kind of tells me like they're keeping an eye on him, but I don't feel like it might be something for August. I feel like it might be something for August. I do feel like you guys know, and a lot of you guys that know me, that listen, know that I'm a De Vrij fanboy, if you want to say so, and I have always been for getting rid of Acerbi before we get rid of De Vrij. But I understand if it's either one, this doesn't really make a difference. However, if he's gonna, Nima, like you said, is he ready to start? Probably not, right? He's gonna have to be rotated in. He's gonna have to learn behind the De Vrij or Cherby, and yeah, we're gonna have to wait and see. Sean, I was gonna ask you because I know you asked the question, but what do you think is gonna happen?
Well, yeah, it seems very difficult at the moment. I know it's been mentioned that Lookman and Leoni are the last 2 pieces that we actually bring in for the senior squad. But yeah, as long as Acerbi or De Vrij are here, it's not happening. Like, it doesn't matter how many players we sell. There's no way that we're getting in without getting rid of one of those 2. And Leoni's showing some maturity, realizing that maybe I'm not ready to start for Inter and I need game time, and the World Cup is next season, right? If I continue to play for Parma, Gattuso is going to call me up. I can make a name for myself in the national team, and that's only going to make him more expensive next summer for us if we go back in for him, which is a shame. But he's showing the right maturity to understand that now. Um,
We
so
also have to talk about Conny de Winter, which Belgian media is very, very adamant that Inter want him, and are very keen on him. This is a player who obviously came up at Juve, has had a good season at Genoa, and is a player that Inter are very keen on, or have been linked to. So it's clear that Inter are considering, they're going to do something in that central defense. I think they are absolutely, they have to do something.
Yeah.
yeah,
But because again, you want to go one more season with De Vrij and Acerbi. I feel last
No.
season Acerbi gave the last drop. Like there is nothing left now.
Yeah, the Barcelona game specifically was the
I
end
mean,
of
Yeah.
his
yeah,
energy. It was his
he
career.
literally ended that game. Like he finished. It was like he was done after that.
Yeah.
But having said that, he's rested for a couple of months now. But then again, I mean, he's not getting any younger. We do know, however, that physically, in terms of physical status, he has excellent. I know that he always responds well. He has some of the highest test results in terms of recovery and physique out of all Inter players. Lautaro has some of the worst,
Yeah.
but which I think comes as no surprise to anyone, to be perfectly honest.
You gotta
Um,
laugh about it, man.
yeah, but Acerbi does have that, and he's physically. I mean, we're talking about someone who survived cancer twice. He is a physical specimen. He's not your average guy. He is better than he has an unbelievable physical strength, natural physical strength, which he also takes care of his body very well as well. So there is that. But I think if we haven't already reached the end of the line, I'd say something has to give there.
Yeah. He's built different, quite literally. Guys,
Yeah, I mean,
before we move on to outgoings, because we're kind of getting to the end of ingoings, I just want to show the listeners real quick, but also to you guys, there are some Primavera or slash under 23 incomings that we have, according to numerous sources. So Inter signed Bodo Klimt 2, so their second team forward, Jonas Dahlberg Strand, who is 16 years old, to the Primavera squad. We have him pictured right here with his family. And then we also have, this was reported already last week, Sean, we talked about it. Udinese Primavera fullback Mattia Marello, who's 17 years old, total deal worth 800k and add-ons, up to a potential 2 to 3 million plus 20% sell-on clause. Seems like this is a talent, because this is, considering for a 17-year-old Primavera player, this is a decent amount of money, reported by Luca Bendoni. And then we have Pasquale Guaro, who said Polonia Warsaw under 19 defender Patrick Makiewicz, who's 16 years old, is close to signing for Inter Primavera. He also plays for Poland under 17. And then we have Luca Bendoni again, who mentioned Simone Cinquegrano on loan with an option to buy from Sassuolo. He is 21 years old, so will play for the under 23 team. And then last but not least, we have Nima and Simi mix, because David Garavagi Stückler, who is Iranian, half Austrian, but Danish national team player. He is a Cremonese forward, or Cremonese second team, I believe, one of the two. And no, he was on loan in the third division, sorry. Inter is planning to sign him as striker for under 23 team. Yeah, so some incomings. If you guys want to comment on any of them, let me know.
It just sounds like beefing up both squads,
Yeah.
whatever it is, and especially the Udinese left back, since Koki is moving, since he's going on loan in Serie B. I think Morello is actually probably going to fill in for both the Primavera and U23 if he can get that call
Yeah,
up.
there's been
So
reports. Sorry to interrupt you. There's been reports as well. I should probably mention this. There's a couple of players that will switch between the under 23 team and the Primavera team, so they'll play both teams.
yeah,
we should also remember that Inter was supposed to start. I think Inter in Serie C already because of
Yes.
Spal pulling out.
Yes.
Joe Tacopina pulling the plug on that project, which Inter did not expect at all. Inter was supposed they just launched the team that nothing exists, right? They haven't played a game, and so now they have to play in the third tier already. They have to start in the third tier. That is going to be a huge challenge for the third team, for this under 23 team. And so they weren't expecting that. They were just thrown into it. Usually you want to start at the lowest and then slowly get up, but they're thrown into Serie C. So this is going to be quite the test, a stress test, to see how to handle it. And it's a challenge, and I'm really excited to see how they manage to handle this. And so that's why they need to focus on that project, because it's not what they expected it to be. They got thrown into Serie C. They were expecting to start lower, and kind of ease their way in, but now all of a sudden they're literally just one season away from Serie B.
Yeah.
Theoretically.
Sean, we
Which
said
is
this
Yeah,
last week. We said this last week. We don't want
yeah,
to fail like Milan Futuro. We don't want to have a situation like that where you just essentially it's just the whole season is just in the bin basically. Hopefully, it doesn't end up like that.
No, but it's not going to be easy. Like, we should cut them some slack. They weren't prepared for
Yeah,
this.
exactly.
And nobody was. Nobody was expecting that to happen at Spal either. Not like that. And it did. And so Inter were, given the chance, and they had to take it. They can't turn it down because, you want to get to play at the highest level as soon as possible. But it's going to be a very big challenge for them. And usually Inter do well at youth level. So it's going to be interesting to see how they handle this challenge.
Yeah.
yeah.
Moving on to outgoings, guys. We have 3 official announcements. We have Valentin Carboni, who has officially joined Genoa on loan. We covered it last week, so we don't really need to go through it again. I think it's a good opportunity for him. And we have him pictured right here, looking happy. Also looking a bit more physical, which is good to see. He put on some weight. His brother, Franco Carboni, has joined Empoli on loan, who obviously now down in Serie B. And then Ebenezer Akinsan-Miro has officially joined Pisa on loan, who are in Serie A, which is great news. So Inter will retain a buyback clause, which I think I saw a tweet saying 3 to 3.5 million euros, which is a decent amount of money. And yeah, that's the 3 official confirmations we already discussed. Akinsan-Miro last week as well. So much on that, just to have that wrapped up. But then, guys,
Just broke out as well. It's not official, but they've signed the. It's a Brygge by Alexander Stankovic for 10 million euros, and it's going to be where Inter in 26 can buy him back for 23 million, and in June 27 they can buy him back for 25 million. And there's a future resale clause somewhere between 15%, around 50%, 15%. We'll have to wait and see what that goes, but that's also something that's going to, that's going to happen as well.
yeah, that's I had that pulled up actually for later, but I didn't put it to the front because it wasn't official yet. It will be made official probably tomorrow because I think the player traveled to Belgium either today or tomorrow. I'm not sure.
No,
But
it's all done. The contracts, everything, everyone's
yeah,
reporting.
everything's done. The only thing missing is literally just Brugge tweeting it out. Hey guys, we signed
Yeah.
him. But yeah, like you said, 10 million fee, 23 million buyback clause next summer, and then 25 million buyback clause 2027. Sean, we talked about this last week, yeah. How the 28 million that was reported at first is too high, right? And I said something around like 20 million would be ideal. And now we have, 23 million, which is somewhat closer to it. So I guess we can be happy about that, right?
Yeah, it's definitely better than what we were thinking, and um, also the sell-on clause. I think that kind of we gave Brugge what they wanted a little bit because they didn't want any of these clauses in there, so they were willing to give those a little bit lower, but still a good amount of money for them if we do decide to buy him back, um, because yeah, they see something in him. I think Inter sees something in him, which is why they wanted this buyback in there. Um, and so, yeah, I'm not really worried about they don't rate him as high, buying him for 10 million,
Yeah.
because I was kind of confused. You think he's going to be 25, 28 in a year, but you're only willing to put 10 million down now. So it's it's good. It's much better than what we thought, closer to 30 million.
Yeah. We'll hopefully get the confirmation. Obviously, I say hopefully we'll get the confirmation by next week, so I'll put it up first on the outgoings next week. But guys, I just want to quickly sum up what happened with Hakan Çalhanoğlu this week because last week we had the bullet point on the podcast outline saying Hakan Çalhanoğlu stays, no Galatasaray rumors, and then we had the same thing again with Fenerbahce. And then I'm not going to pull up every tweet here, guys. I just have this tweet pulled up where apparently there was a phone call between him and Fenerbahce's president. Always take everything coming out of Turkey with an extra pinch of salt because, yeah. However, the phone call was apparently, President, if you pay the transfer fee, I would like to play for Fenerbahce. There was tweets, reports, offers, apparently maybe 15 to 20 million from Fenerbahce, contract offer of 8 million a year all sorts of stuff, right? Apparently he was in Turkey with his agent, whatever, right? We don't need to go into too much detail because I think we're all tired of it. But then President Marotta said that he wouldn't want it to become an issue when it's not. We hear about requests that never reach us because it's all media driven. He will be back on Wednesday like other players. He never said he wants to leave. He liked this report on Instagram posted by Fabrizio Biazin, right? And then he came back today and said that he's staying. So like, it was kind of all.
There's also something else that happened. His agent had an interesting thing as well yesterday.
Yes, Gordon Stipic, right?
Yeah, where he first said that, you know, we've received no offers, but we're going to talk. And then 5 minutes later, he came out and said he's staying at Inter. Nothing's going to happen.
Yeah.
And it's like, this has been a complete and utter shit show. The way that it's been handled, from the Club World Cup where Lautaro threw his toys out the pram, to Marotta coming out and saying, trying to damage control to protect Thuram from this shit show, saying he was talking about Calhanoglu to try to limit it, to Calhanoglu's response on Instagram and Calhanoglu's wife's response on Instagram, because this is the day and age we live in, and I hate it. Forza Comet, and then we had this entire back and forth for a while, and then they've spoken, and then they haven't spoken, and then Galatasaray wanted to buy him. Instead, they bought Victor Osimhen. Ali Koch from Fenerbahce wanted to counter it, and blah 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 blah. It has been an embarrassing shit show for everybody involved. This is not how you handle business. Everyone has handled this poorly. Now, today Calhanoglu was smiling and saying, no, I'm staying at Inter, and when I see Lautaro, I'm going to give him a hug. It's all water under the bridge, and they're all... Lautaro has to... I mean, if Calhanoglu comes out and says, I'm okay, Lautaro, as the captain, has to kind of take a step back, and they have to kind of, mend fences for the sake of Inter. It seems that whatever happened between Thuram and Lautaro, they've sorted it. That's good. That's really important. But now that this entire telenovela is over, at least for now, unless something happens before the window closes, my thing is, I think it might have been a mistake to keep Calhanoglu, because he's 30, 31. He came on a free. If there ever was a time, I mean, I was of the opinion that last summer, when Bayern Munich was making offers of 50, 60 million, you should have cashed in on him. But of course, Inzaghi and Inter didn't want to. I think that was a mistake. I think I would have sold him to Bayern Munich last year, because I think when a player pushes 20, 29, 30, you signed him on a free transfer, 50, 60 million is a huge plusvalenza on your balance sheet.
Yeah.
Also,
and it
12
helps
million in gross wages off your books as well.
Yeah, exactly. So it for me, financially, it made a much more sense. I think Inter could have used that money last summer to invest instead of doing nothing, just bringing in 3 players on free transfer. I think that was a mistake. But they now will have to wait and see, because now I think if he stays, then you can't sell him. No one's going to pay what you want, and you're going to be in a position where next summer, if he has another bad season, you have a player that is well finished, well beyond his peak, on high wages. You're just going to have to accept him leaving on a free.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen a lot of what it seems to me is damage control by everybody.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
don't burn the bridge so we can get 25 million and then you can go.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
we'll talk about it more now that you're back here in Milano.
Exactly. Which is what Marotta should have done to begin with, in order for this entire save everyone this shit show. But he's not been on top of things for quite some time. The manner in which Inzaghi left Inter was embarrassingly handled. The manner in which the post Inzaghi appointment was handled was cartoonish. And now everything is landed. Okay, now get on top of things. This is literally your job. It's to prevent this shit from happening. Okay, you managed to put out the fire as far as we can see. Let's see if you can actually work forward as well. And that's your job. And that's what matters now.
Yeah. Guys, just to put the fans' opinion out there as well. it was there was a banner today at Appiano Gentile saying an honest and loyal Interista, Hakan, one of us. Which, you know, I guess the fans are on his side, but like, make of it what you want. We've seen this. We've seen different messages before as well, for players that were in similar situations. But I guess the fans have sided with him on this occasion.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't really care.
I mean, exactly how I feel as well. It's like, I don't care. I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, none of this shit matters. I mean, these guys are professionals. Hakan has been a fantastic signing since joining Inter. No one in a million years could have expected him to be as good as he's been.
Correct.
He's won Inter lots of trophies. He's been a part of an Inter that's gone to 2 Champions League finals. He's more than paid off. Whatever problem is between him and Lautaro, that needs to be resolved, and that is on both of them to resolve it, because this is Inter. They don't have the right to destabilize this club because of whatever personal issues they have. That they don't have the right to, and that is also again on the directors and the president to make sure that this doesn't happen again. Maintain the peace.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Guys, next up, I want to mention Denzel Dumfries, because Auxilio also spoke on him, confirming his release clause, basically, which was kind of put out 2-3 weeks ago. We spoke about it on the podcast. He said, "We risked losing him for free, so we protected the club's asset by including this clause. We have not been approached by Barcelona," which has been confirmed by Fabrizio Romano in one of his recent YouTube videos, where he said, right now there is nothing between Barcelona and Denzel Dumfries because they are focusing on renewing Jules Koundé's contract, and they consider him like one of their main guys, right? Especially in defense. But as we know, his release clause expires July 31st. And according to Nicolo Schira, there's interest from Aston Villa, right? So, yeah, we'll see what ends up happening with him. I personally wouldn't sell him. I personally think it would be the wrong time. But we'll have to wait and see.
I mean,
yeah.
What is it, 25 million, yeah?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's buying Denzel Dumfries for 25 million euros despite despite a clause being valid all summer.
Yeah.
That tells you everything you need to know.
Yeah. And it has to be paid in one sitting as well.
Yeah.
It has to be paid on one go.
He did a fantastic job last season at Inter. Probably Inter's best player in terms of consistency. But for 25 million euros, no one wants to buy him. At least, I mean, to me, that just tells you everything you need to know, really, as to how highly he's being rated. And the Barcelona links make no sense to me.
Exactly.
He's not a Barcelona player.
Yeah.
I mean, anti-Barcelona player.
They'll offer 5 million, but paid over the next 15 years, right?
No, but I'm talking in terms of what about Denzel Dumfries screams tiki taka to you?
Oh yeah, that as well, yeah.
Which part of his there's nothing. If I were to choose a player that is the least Barcelona player in the world right now, it'd probably be Denzel Dumfries. I
mean, I love Dumfries and what he did this season.
Me too, but he's not a
Barcelona. Barcelona practice with those bouncy nets. They pass off of those. Denzel can fill in for one of those. Just stick out one of his feet. Boom, bounces right off.
I mean, can you just imagine him building up from deep with?
Oh my goodness.
Pedri and Lamine Yamal in front of I mean, really? No.
The only thing that I could think of is Denzel running on the outside of Lamine as he takes it in himself and never passes it actually out wide to Denzel.
Yeah. And then there's nothing about, for me, Aston Villa makes sense because
I was literally just going to mention that, Nima. Who's their right back? Matty Cash.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense to me, but not even they are willing. They have money, and they're not prepared to spend 25 million euros. I mean, to me, that's I think Denzel Dumfries has been fantastic signing for. Let's be honest. If you look at where he was when he came, for the money he came, the situation he was, and how much he's improved, the commitment he puts in, the mental strength that he has, I think the only thing about him that is world class is always been his mental strength. He is just unbreakable. His mentality is just surreal. It's unbelievable how strong he is mentally. And he's done fantastically well. He's adjusted well. But there are technical deficiencies. And these deficiencies, even in this era of football where it's much more pace, power, and less technique and more system, no one wants to pay 25 million euros to sign Denzel Dumfries. That to me is just, I mean, the proof is in the pudding right there, isn't it?
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. Every day we
Next
get
up,
closer to
sorry,
that.
what's up,
Yeah,
Sean?
just say every day we get closer to the 31st, and
Yeah,
Yeah.
and also for Inter's sake, I really hope he doesn't leave. Like,
Oh,
this
yeah.
is, I agree with you 100%, Simi. Now is not the time to lose Denzel Dumfries. Like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
He's a leader in that dressing room. Again, from a mental point of view, this is a guy who has saved Inter time and time again. This is a guy that leads by example. You can tell that he's someone, when he speaks in that dressing room, people listen. Now is not the time to lose that at all.
Yeah.
I was
We
just
mentioned.
I was just thinking as well. Sorry, Simi, but the way that you said Lautaro is going to need to help
Yeah,
Kivu and get everybody on board, I
Yeah.
think
exactly.
Dumfries is going to have a huge role in that as well, because he's not going to.
100%.
He doesn't worry about who's in charge. He respects, like, you're in charge. Got it. Everyone's going to be on board. I'm
Yeah,
going to be on board, and I'm going to lead
exactly.
the way I can.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I agree.
100%.
And then
100%.
Nima, what you mentioned in terms of Denzel, also, I mean, I said this last week, Sean. You remember he was one of the few players that apologized after the Champions League final. That takes and shows character. And if you think about it, we said this last week, Sean. Who's going to be one of his replacement options? Jackson Chachua. Come on, bro. Like, with all due respect to Chachua, like he has to, like Dumfries has to stay. There's no debate for me personally. But yeah. Moving on to your fellow Iranian, Nima. Mehdi Taremi would like to play in the Premier League and has been offered to several English sides through intermediaries. No bids to Inter yet, but I saw a report as well that bids are expected soon, whatever that means, by his entourage. But obviously we have Fulham, I think, Nottingham Forest.
I'll tell you exactly what that means. That means Pastorello is calling all, using his media guy, whose name eludes me because he doesn't call them himself. He has a media guy, bald guy, forget his name. He's told that guy to call everybody and tell them there's gonna, plant these stories. That's what that means. Like, if we cut the bullshit, but that's what that means. I don't. If Inter want money for Taremi, they're not going to sell him. They can forget that.
I think they said 10 million.
But
There's no way they're getting 10 million.
it's not going to get 10 million. But what can happen, and something that I think would be interesting, is if Porto come back calling for him. He loves Porto, and Porto loves him. I think that's one of those fine mercato deadline day deals that could be made, where Inter have not been able to get rid of him. He wants to play football. He's not part of Kivu's plans, even though he has played in a 3-4-2-1. But it's clear Inter don't, he wants to move away, scelta tecnica. But I think watch out for that one. Deadline day, Taremi to Porto return.
Yeah. Sean, what do you think?
Yeah, you're only getting at most 1 million for him. So if the Premier Leagues do actually come in for him and you just get that nominal fee of
Yeah.
selling him, yeah, he's going. I know he likes the idea of the Premier League because that'll be his last big paycheck.
And it's also the Premier League. I think he is, he is Iran's best ever football player. He is one of Asia's biggest ever players of all time. I think he would have liked to try himself in the Premier League before, because he's kind of reaching that age as well. But where does he do it? Which league, which club, and so on? Forest, Fulham. We're hearing all of. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. I think he'll end up going Premier League personally, but we'll have to wait and see. I agree, Nima. I think it's going to be one of those late deals. Next up, guys, Tajan Buchanan. Now, obviously, last week we had rumors of him going to Sassuolo, which is kind of off now because Armand Laurienté's deal to Sunderland collapsed and he was going to be kind of that replacement.
Exactly.
And I tweeted out Loriente probably spent 24 hours in Sunderland and said, "I'm getting back home because I'm not staying here." Sorry to anyone that's from Sunderland, but
it was his agent that was
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah, I know. Yeah, it was something to do with that. And now Villarreal are back in the race. Well, they've always kind of been in the race. What's interesting to me is that obviously Inter is adamant on a permanent deal, and Villarreal know this, but they submitted an offer of another loan because obviously they loaned him last season, plus option to buy for Taja Buchanan, which Inter won't accept as they want to sell the wingback permanently. The player wants to return to Villarreal, so he is, keen on returning. Obviously, he had a decent time there, and yeah, we'll have to see what happens with that. But Sassuolo seems to be off, guys.
I feel bad for Tejan. I really do. I feel that when he broke his leg, that kind of sealed his fate at Inter, which is very unlucky. Football is also lots of things in football are just down to plain dumb luck, and I think he was just very unlucky because when he broke his foot the way he did, and I feel never really got a chance after that because it just kind of everything exploded in his face, and then he just looked very nervous and not happy. So yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame. We never know what could have happened, but I still. I mean, I'm not saying he's going to be world class, but I do think there's a decent play.
Yeah. Yeah, and Villarreal already know how to use him, like the way the formation that they play as well. So if there's anything to save his career, I think that would be the place to go. And they just need to make it an obligation. If you do a loan with an
Yeah, Inter
obligation,
need to cash in on, like, they can't, like, they need to get rid of these all of these players that are just lingering around. The Espositos, the what's his name, Tejan Buchanan's, the Taremis, all these players. They need to they need to have permanent solutions for them.
Yeah, you already mentioned it, Nima. Sebastiano Esposito, who had a few negotiations. His agent confirmed it today as well that they were negotiating with Fiorentina and Cagliari, but both of those deals collapsed. There was talks of him potentially being involved in a deal with Parma, which was reported that his worth is around 7 million in that deal, which to me, again, I've tweeted about it plenty of times, to me is laughable. He scored 10 goals in a horrible Empoli side last season, and he should be worth at least 10 to 15 million, especially in a deal like that. However, it seems like everything is on standby right now, but obviously he's still going to leave, but just not, I guess, not the clubs that were mentioned before. But yeah.
Marotta manages to get 10 million euros for Sebastiano Esposito. I think we can officially say that Marotta League is a thing. Like, it's officially real, because I don't know what kind of Epstein-esque blackmail he's using people to get 10 million euros for Sebastiano Esposito. Oh my God. I mean, his greatest masterpiece is still Andrea Pinamonti to Sassuolo for 15 million,
Oh
20
yeah,
million.
15 or 18, bro.
Yeah, I
that's
mean,
that's my thing though, Nima. Like if you're getting 15 to 18 million for Pinamonti, 10 million for Esposito
mm,
is reasonable for both sides. Like
neither of those two are reasonable. Like, that's the point I'm making.
Listen,
Like, I don't know what blackmail. Like, again, Marotta League is real. The world is run by Marotta. Like, that's
yeah,
just what it is. If he manages to get 10 million euros for that guy, we're never gonna get rid of him. He's the new Samuel, accepted that he's gonna be with Inter until he's 35. Like, and no one's gonna understand why or how. Or if Francesco Pio Esposito does well, then I guess he'll port system at Inter or something, like, the Donnarumma brothers or Kaká's little brother at Milan.
nah.
But yeah, it's we're never gonna get rid of him, are we? It's the new Samuel Elongo. Every team he joins, he manages to either fight his way out or the team gets relegated. It's just like, can't catch a break with this guy,
Oh yeah. I know you're not the biggest fan of him, Nima, but I personally, again, this is, we disagree. We agree to disagree.
Mediocre of the player. He's a mediocre player. He's not. He's 5-7 million euros. Empoli is his level. The younger brother Francesco, that's the one you should be excited about. That's the one you should be excited. He has
Yeah,
everything.
I'm very excited.
He's got everything.
We'll keep you
I
guys
really hope
updated
it
on that.
develops well. It would be so beautiful to see to have an Italian young player
Oh,
come
yeah.
through at Inter and do well. Like, and especially in that role where Italy is screaming after a number 9. You know, there is no natural number 9. Retegi's gone to Saudi. We'll see what happens. Moise Ken has had a fantastic season, but he's not the natural number 9. Scamacca's coming back from an ACL. Raspadori's more of a in a 2-man attack, kind of a 9.5. Everything is there. Like Lorenzo Lucca and him.
He's
This is their opening, isn't it? You know.
yeah.
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 We'll see. We'll see. Next up, guys, Christian Aslani is still being forced out the door. Piero Silio said it openly. We've told Christian Aslani that after 3 years with us, it's time for him to find a new club and play more. Like, no, you know what I'm saying? No remorse. And then
Get out! Like,
Yeah.
literally pushing him out the door. Get out the door. And then
Who gave Piero Cilio balls to say
no,
that?
I was surprised. And then
he never talks like that.
he
Like,
doesn't.
Oh,
but like, and he always lies. But because that's his job at Inter, he's the hatchet man. He goes out and lies. But when I saw that interview, I was like, they really want this guy out. Like they want him gone.
Yeah, guys, let me just finish up on this because today FC Inter 1908 posted that Inter was very surprised by Cristiano Aslani rejecting Real Betis. Like, why are you not leaving? But the Albanian wants to stay in Italy mainly for family reasons. That makes sense. But Inter's position will not change. They want to sell the midfielder. Will not reconsider this decision. He could play like prime Brozovic in pre-season and the first game of Serie A. They would still sell him. Like they are getting rid of him whatsoever. But where in Italy is he going? That's the question.
That's Ausilio planting these stories to everyone. Like that.
Yeah.
That's him making sure that everyone gets this nugget that we don't want this guy. We want him out, like gone. So yeah.
Sean?
yeah. I mean, I can't really add anything more. I know I listened to the Italian football podcast where Nima was talking about Ausilio's job is to lie.
That is
and
his
then,
job.
No, it
Like
is. You're right.
his job is to lie. He's Inter's hatchet.
yeah, and then he says this about Aslani,
Yeah,
which is not a lie, right? He's like,
No, it's
here you go, everybody, please, something.
out.
Bologna, Fiorentina, please, something.
It's like a reality show when someone gets voted off. Like it's just there's no like they want this guy out. Like it's I've never and when we talk like that, it's so you kind of give away all your leverage. But it's like but then again you also have to look at it. If you're playing a 3-4-2-1, that midfield is very crowded. You have Zielinski there too, you know? You
Exactly.
have Calhanoglu, Zielinski,
I was thinking
Barella.
about that as well. The Zielinski and Mkhitaryan are probably going to be pushed up a little
Yeah.
bit because Zielinski has played more as a 10 with Napoli before he came. So he could kind of fill in a little bit of that more advanced role in a formation change. But yeah, 7 players
For two
2
spots.
midfields.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. So I think that's why they want to get rid of him, and they feel that you know he wants to stay in Italy. I get that. I mean, he is Albanian, but he was born and raised in Tuscany, if I'm
Yeah.
not mistaken. So,
Correct.
you know, he's he you know that's you know it's his country. You know that's where he
Come
was
on,
raised.
Florence.
Yeah. So I mean, I actually think it would be very interesting to see. I think he would do well for Pioli in his Fiorentina, but it doesn't seem that Fiorentina seem too excited. But again, when you reach the end of the window and desperation starts kicking in, then we'll see what happens.
Yeah. We obviously had the Atalanta rumors last week. We don't know how much has happened since then because there wasn't any reports ever since we heard about it on Wednesday last week. But we'll have to wait and see. He can play in most Serie A teams, definitely. He can be a starter in most Serie A teams. I think we know this. But with Inter, it's going to be tough. It's just too crowded. And
Aslani at Atalanta, I mean, if Denzel Dumfries doesn't fit Barcelona, I can't think of anyone who's less of an Atalanta high intensity, high pressing.
Atalanta will be tough for sure. Yeah, Atalanta will be difficult.
It's like, and Ivan Juric is literally a disciple of Gasperini, so it's a continuation of Gasperini's football. And then what is Aslani? It's like that meme that you always send me, Sean. What's a polar bear doing in
Arlington, Texas?
You know.
Yeah. Yeah, that rumor came out with the Atalanta maybe adding him in the deal, wasn't it? Like that's what that was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it was lowering
I
the
think
price to 25 million. I
yeah,
don't
I
see
think
it.
Atalanta was a little bit insulted by that.
Yeah,
Probably were, yeah. They might have just
probably. I
laughed it
think
off,
they
yeah.
were, and you know what? I
That's
think they're right to be. Like,
that's when the deal went from 40 million to 50 million.
yeah, I think they
Yeah,
just.
that's when they decided to bump up the price. You wanna
Yeah.
include Aslani? Nah, like that's a bit much. Um, speaking of, because you were talking about the midfielders before, Davide Fratesi is also staying. Piero Asili confirms, and also Marcus Thuram. We've known this, right? Also his release clause that expired like 2 weeks ago. But yeah, so those two players are confirmed to stay. Just to finish up on Asilio's quotes. And then we have some Primavera outgoings. So Spezia is interested in signing Inter Primavera defender Christos Alexiou, who is the captain of last season's Primavera side. There was talks of him like leading down the 23 side, but I guess a loan to Serie B wouldn't be too bad. And then also Parma have reached an agreement to permanently sign the Primavera midfielder Edoardo Tiani. And that's the only two outgoings in terms of Primavera and like loans. We have De Pieri, who we announced or who we talked about last week, but that's still to be made official. And then the other players that we talked about. But we'll hear about that next week when it all gets made official. So yeah,
I
so
just
much on
want to
that.
say that I
I
love
think
Spezia.
we have to talk about Thuram because he's only got 2 years left on his contract now, and
Is it
he signed a 5-year contract 3 years ago, didn't he?
2023? No, so he has 3 years
No,
left.
yeah, yeah, he's got 3 years left. Sorry, yeah. Yeah, well, he's
Cool.
been into 2 seasons. Yeah, so yeah, this is third season. Sorry, so he signed a 5-year contract. Yeah, I think that needs to be that's something that needs to be addressed too, because you don't want to find yourself in another Skriniar Dumfries situation. And he's going to ask for good money as well. I would love it if he stayed. I think if you go from an attacking line of Thuram, Lautaro, Correa, Arnautovic, and Taremi to Esposito, Boni, Lookman, Thuram, Lautaro, you're in a very, very good place.
Yeah.
Very, very good place.
This
That
season's
is
Yeah.
important, I
the
think. This season's important for him.
yeah, it is. But so it is, and he has to show who he is. But I think Inter need to Marotta needs to start sitting down with whoever is in charge of that situation and start negotiating a deal soon, because
Yeah.
that's going to be important.
Yeah. Okay, so to finish up, guys, we have some other news that are important. I'm not gonna pull up. There was videos of every player driving into Appiano Gentile today. I'm not gonna show all of that. If you want to see their cars, it's on our page, right? But yeah, so Hakan Çalhanoğlu, Jan Bissek, Benjamin Pavard, and Piotr Zielinski did personal training sessions on the pitch today, having all returned from injury, so they seem okay, which is good to know. Angian Boni is also recovering from an injury. He only did a gym session, but he's doing well. Good to see him here. We have him pictured right here. Pulling up to the training center. And Davide Fratesi has started his recovery after his hernia surgery today as well, which is basically everyone's going to be fit more or less for the start of preseason, which is on Saturday, I believe, right? So training starts on Saturday. We have some confirmed friendly matches, which I don't know if that's all of them because we usually have the friendly against the Primavera, which this season it looks like it's going to be against the under 23 team. And then I don't know if we're going to have the usual friendly against Lugano, but the confirmed ones are Monaco against Inter in Monaco on Friday the 8th of August, and then Monza against Inter in Monza on the 12th, and then Inter play Olympiacos in Bari on the 16th of August. So that's a week before, or well, 9 days before the start of the season against Torino. So much
Yeah,
on the
I'm
friendlies.
glad. I'm really glad that they are staying put this preseason and no traveling and giving Kivu all the time and help he can to get this sorted, because he's going to need it. He's going to need it. It's not going to be easy. I think, especially if this Mercato goes, if Lookman comes in and you're able to get rid of this excess players, and you kind of, okay, even if you don't change defenders and you keep Sommer, and you're able to have a good preseason, and Inter have by far the best squad in the Serie A, which means that if Inter don't win the Serie, or if he's off to a bad start and they smell blood in the water, And we know what happens in Serie A when they smell weakness, they go after Inter from every angle.
Mm-hmm.
This could be a very, very tricky time.
Yeah.
For Inter.
We'll have
they
to
need to get it right.
We'll have to wait and see. Obviously, it's good, like you said, that there's not too much traveling. There's just pure focus on the new coach's new system, and then hopefully a good preseason, even though it starts late. And then just to finish up, guys, there will be the official start of the season press conference with the president Beppe Marotta on Monday at 2 p.m. Central European time, which is 8 a.m. Eastern time in the US. I will be covering that as much as I can. Thomas will obviously be working, so I'll be covering that as much as I can on Inter Xtra, so to try and push out as many quotes as possible. It will be broadcasted on all the Inter channels. So
the entire thing on Sempre Inter as well, if you want to read the whole thing. We'll be
there you go. I was gonna get to that, but yes, you can read it obviously on Sempre Inter as well. So it will be on Monday, and then we'll probably get confirmation on a bunch of the outgoings. We'll have a lot to talk about. I think we'll have a separate section next week on the podcast to talk about that. But that is the last tweet that I have pulled up right here, guys. And we are basically through all the news of this week. Before we go, I just want to quickly give you the opportunity, Nima, if you want to plug all your socials, your personal socials, but also what you do journalism-wise. Take it away.
Founded Sempre Inter 13 years ago now. I run a podcast with co-hosted with Carlo, and what I do now. So yeah, my socials are the same everywhere at Nima TAVROOD. The pod is at ItaFootPod and at sempreinter.com on socials and sempreinter.com on the site, as everyone knows.
Yeah, you guys know what to do.
We'll tag those. We'll tag those in the YouTube description and in the post as well, so you guys can find all that.
Yeah, it's been 13 years, going on 14 years now. It's weird. Time flies.
Time does fly, yeah. Sean, just give everyone, please, a quick reminder before we end.
Yes, and of course, for us, if you guys could like the video if you've made it this far, subscribe, comment any of your thoughts on any of the news this week. Follow us on Twitter, or formerly Twitter, now X.
I refuse to call it X.
I
will
know
never call it X. It's
me.
nonsense. It's a nonsense.
Yeah.
What do you mean X?
Yeah.
No, it's Twitter. Fuck you, Elon. Sorry.
It's okay. All of our videos are put as explicit, not for children. We're good. Yeah, it's always going to be Twitter. So go follow us on Twitter. We're approaching 70,000 likes. Share the news with all of your friends that like you and such should like Inter as well. So make sure you do all of that. If you're listening to us on podcast, give us a 5-star rating, leave a review, whatever you'd like to do, and share as much as possible. We've had some good numbers these last few weeks, so I do want to thank all of you for watching and listening. We're continuing to grow, and we are seeing everything that y'all are saying, and we do want to improve, such as bringing on such wonderful guests as Nima. I have to thank him so much for coming on and giving us all of that information in that log of knowledge that he has in his head. So
yeah, thank you for coming on, Nima.
Much, and thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and I love what you guys do. I think you keep doing what you're doing. I love what you're doing on Twitter, and keep it up. It's good to see what you guys are doing. So keep it up.
Appreciate it. All right. Well, guys, for now, for this episode, once again, we are just gonna finish up. I appreciate everyone listening. We appreciate everyone listening. Again, 1K views on the last 2 YouTube videos is absolutely mental. So I appreciate it, guys. But yeah, we'll see you guys next week, or you will hear from us next week.
Before we go, because I don't know when I'm going to be on, but I want to hear what you guys just before we go, just quickly. What do you guys expect Lookman will sign? Just quickly, just before we go. Do you guys expect Inter will sign Lookman? Do you expect they'll sign Leoni? Like, what are your expectations? Quickly before we go.
I do believe that capitalism will pull through and Oak Tree will.
America, here's the American in the room, bro.
And Oak Tree will give Inter the funds, or allow Inter to spend the 50 million to get Lookman.
Fair enough. Fair enough. What about Leoni?
No.
No?
No, I think he wants to stay at Parma too much.
Yeah.
He's not going to push for
Okay,
the move.
okay. I agree. I think if I have a very small like amount of faith that we can land both, but I personally don't believe it. I think Lookman will be sealed and completed in the next like 5 days. Probably on Monday. I think Monday will be a very important day after the weekend. And then the only either late August, like I said, or just not at all. But yeah. Okay.
Nice one.
Okay. Good we have that covered as well. Again, Nima, lovely to have you on. You're welcome back on anytime you want.
Pleasure.
And yeah, we will see you guys next week. But for now, guys, we are out. Forza Inter.
Forza.